Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our next session of Make Azure AI Real. My name is Anna. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our presenters. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Make Azure AI Real. I made the slogan, so I keep running with it. It is the show where we don't just talk about AI, we do AI. And we've been doing quite a lot of AI. This is, I think, our third or fourth episode now. I've lost count, but we've been actually building things within this entire series where we've been focusing on how to piece together the world of AI tooling, all these services that are out there, and how can we actually build something. We've been focused on building an education startup. I've been throughout the whole series, but I have two special guests where we're going to do this like Brady Brunch pointing thing. We maybe can do that. Pamela, why don't you go ahead first? It's opposite. There we go.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Pamela Fox. I'm on the Python Cloud Advocacy team, which means that I get to help Python developers use Microsoft products, and I get to learn lots of stuff about Python.
And you have some fans in the chat, so that's really, I'm slightly jealous. Okay, PC, it's your turn. This way.
Corey. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Hi. So my full name is Puichi Chan, but I usually go by PC. So just call me PC. Totally fine. I'm so happy to be here today. I am actually a product manager on the Azure Dev2 team. Kristen Womack is actually my peer, and I work in I'm part of the ACT team as well. And Kristen is actually the lead PM. Unfortunately, she's not available today, so I'm trying to channel her awesomeness. So hopefully I'll be there. Yeah.
Nice.
As good as Kristen.
Yeah, so it's for both your first episodes. I'm curious if there's anyone in the audience who has seen any of the other episodes. So please, someone make my day and say you've seen at least one of them. Anna's going to drop the question in there, but always lovely to hear about where you're joining from as well, because we have a quite global audience that's time. So it's like a fun game to see who's the furthest away from each other. But I'm going to go ahead, Anna, if you just throw my screen on. That's it. So yeah, like I said, each series we've been building us education startup, just new features, new ideas. The last episode we did something really cool with with AI agents. This episode, like I said, we'll be focusing on the AI solutions with the Azure and GitHub Azure Workspace. Next episode, I've messed this up, but it's actually going to be working with Mistral models. We actually have a special guest from Mistral. So if you're all interested in doing that. And like I said, this is not a talking show. This is not a talk show. This is a building show. Last episode, we had Elijah on, and he showed us how to use Semantic kernel and AI agents to do some lesson planning. So we had one agent doing lesson planning, one agent doing analysis of different students and their grades, and they're communicating with each other to make the perfect lesson plan. We did some planning for this, but I actually have no idea what we're going to be building today. So I'll be sitting in the audience with you as well, listening in. And then, like I said, we were trying to make this also real for you. Of course, you can always watch these things and learn some things, but we have a learn collection where you can kind of apply those knowledge. Anna's going to drop that link. She's going to put it, I know she will. She's going to show it on the bottom of the screen very soon. And then we also have a community growing in our Discord. So whenever you do apply your knowledge and you get stuck or have any other questions, we are there to support you. And in terms of finding out the right solutions, or even the code samples or anything that you might see today or in other episodes, do hop in there. We've made a whole special channel for this series. But like I said, that's enough talking. I'm going to pass it over. I think, Pamela, you're going to be driving this these demos. I've specifically said less slides, so I'm at fault for giving at least 3 slides, but now there's going to be no more slides. So let's see it.
All right, so let's go over to my screen where I've got my VS Code open. So my goal today is to show like a bunch of different technologies, but really starting with this new @Azure agent for GitHub Copilot. This just came out about a week ago. We announced it at GitHub Universe in San Francisco. And now it's something that everybody can download. So if you are a VS Code user and you're a GitHub Copilot user and you're an Azure user, then you should definitely download this extension. If you go to extensions, let's see, and search for, I've actually never installed it this way because I've always been a better user. Here we go.
There you go.
So GitHub Copilot for Azure. 5 stars, nice. It's really, really new. So, you should download it. You should give feedback, try it out, see what it works well and doesn't work well for, and then let us know how we can improve it. So that's what I'm going to start off using and see how far we can go with building an AI app with it. So let's start off. So to use an agent, if you do in your Copilot, you'll actually see all the agents that you have installed, right? So, and all the ones that are built into Copilot. So I've also got this GitHub agent. There's a VS Code agent too, which can help you with like setting up like debugging and stuff like that. There's the workspace agent, which I use a lot and I'll use today too. And then, there's other ones built in like Terminal. Okay, so I'm going to do @Azure. And then if I do @Azure, you can also see, then we see the / commands too. So the / commands are basically like giving a hint to an agent as to how you want them to help you. So a lot of times we don't have to use the / commands, but if you're having a hard time getting the right answer from an agent, sometimes you might use a / command to basically like say like, hey, this is exactly what I want help with, right? So just general tip with, with these agents is that it's good to know about the / commands because it's hard to be an agent. It's hard to get everything right.
Yeah. Have some empathy for the agents, please.
That's everyone. Right. Poor agents. All right. So let's start off. So I'm going to say I want to, let me try and make this as big, deploy a chat plus vision app. So the first thing we can use this agent for is that we can ask it for help with like a particular kind of app we want to deploy, because it actually knows about a bunch of app templates, especially AI app templates. So, here I'm saying I want to deploy an app that uses like the vision models, so I can do like some image uploading. And it recommends this template here. So it says it demonstrates chatting with uploading images using OpenAI vision models like GPT-4o, includes deploying to container apps, keyless authentication. Okay, and then it gives me the command using the AZD CLI. And this command will bring this template down locally for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy and paste that. So that is going to, oh, did I like not get the whole thing? I failed at copying. Okay. Let's try it
again. Agents can only help us with so much, but the copying and they still can't.
All right. It's also because I made the screen so big.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need a new environment name. So we're just going to say like AI real biz. There we go. Okay. So now actually, if I go and look at my Explorer, you can see that all of these files just got added to my environment. I had nothing in this folder before. So it downloaded all of these files and brought them in so that I can, get started with this template. So then I might want to be, okay, so first thing I want to do is get this deployed, right? So how do I deploy this to Azure? And so this is an interesting question because I could actually ask 2 different agents this. I could ask the Azure agent because the Azure agent knows I'm now using a project that uses AZD, or I could use the workspace agent and the workspace agent could check the README. So there's some like questions we might have, which could be answered equally by multiple agents because they kind of have like, shared overlapping knowledge. Okay, so it says we initialize. Great, we did that. And then to deploy to Azure, we're just going to do AZD up and it gives some hints here about how to follow the prompts. All right. So first I have way too many Azure subscriptions. Okay, so select an Azure location to use. So I usually go West US because I am in the West US. And then for OpenAI location, this is like a shorter list because OpenAI is only in, 22 locations, and Azure has more than that. So I'm going to go for West US again. I do need to have quota in this region, and we actually have pretty constrained quota when we work at Microsoft. We have to like beg for quota.
Secrets revealed. Here we go. Back behind the
We have
scenes.
to beg. You know, I've done a lot of begging. I'm pretty good at begging. I got like 240K the other day.
Wow, that is very impressive.
But you can see here, we by default, we only have 30K in each of these regions. So West US, this is my quota tab in the AI Studio. So West US, I haven't used up any of the quota yet, so I can go ahead and do West US for that location too. All right, so now it is going to deploy it. So this is using AZD. So this is where I want to ask PC to tell us a little bit about AZD.
Sure, Pamela. But actually, before that, right, I want to call out one thing I really love about the Azure agent. I love it that I can just stay within the IDE. If you scroll up and, like there is actually it will tell you where it's referencing the answers from. So you get all the context and everything. I just love it. All right, ACD. It's another of my favorite too, obviously, because I'm part of the team. So ACD is actually stands for Azure Developer CLI, and it is an open source command line tool. It's designed for developers in a sense that, like what Pamela has been showing you, right? The commands are very simple, and it maps to the developer workflow. If you want to get the code, the ACD templates, all the codes from GitHub, you run a command ACD init to initialize your project and get it in your local environment, right? And when you want to deploy it, you run one command, which is ACD up, which will build. It will package all your code, build it, provision all the Azure resources that you need, and then it will deploy your app to Azure. It's very simple. And when you are ready to set up your CI/CD pipeline, again, one command, ACD pipeline config. That's it.
All right. Yeah. So I love AZD. I mean, as PC knows, like I'm just a huge AZD fangirl. Like it came out when I was only had been working at Microsoft for like 6 months. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. And so now everything I do is an AZD template, because for me, it's the best way to get a project up on Azure. Because when you make a project on Azure, you have to create multiple Azure resources and connect them together so that they're working together. And you want to do that in a way that's reliable, right? So here you can see it's like deploying analytics, OpenAI, it's deploying the GPT-4o model, it's deploying Azure Container Apps, Azure Container Registry, and all of these things like are interacting with each other. And when I use AZD, I can get all of this up at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, not that this was built for doing demos, but it just says a lot that you're confident enough in AZD. Like, I mean, imagine doing the demo and having to do all of these deployments. AZD is there, and it makes for a smooth demo as well. So, extra benefits of AZD. There you go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then, so we got this template from when we asked about deploying a chat and vision app. So this is an AZD template. So where, this is another question for PC, where do these AZD templates come from?
Great question. So this is actually the AI. It's actually from the AI app template gallery. Pamela, you're going to show that, right? Yeah. So we just launched this recently. So this is a collection of a creator set of ACD templates. Okay, it's wired to be like you can use AZD to get all this code up and running in Azure. So everything is built according to a set of standards that we put in place. For instance, we use all the templates either use managed identity or keyword, right? So, and when you click in, let's say, Pamela, can you open one of the templates?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of my favorite features here is you can actually click the open in GitHub code spaces button, and you can basically just run everything in code space. You don't even need to install ACD or any of the requirements. Don't you agree, Pamela? That
Yeah,
is
I'm also a huge GitHub Codespaces fan, right? Because I come from like a teaching background, and one of the most annoying things about teaching and also just developing generally is setting up your environment, right? Like, Have I got everything installed correctly? The right Python, the right AZD, the right node. Oh my gosh, like I'm really not very good at that, and I get really depressed when I try to set this up, especially I'm on a Mac M1 now, and there's like a lot of issues when you try to do stuff on a Mac M1 because of the ARM 64.
Gone are the days when you have to go and find and search like, okay, what's missing? Why isn't this running? Things like that. So anyway, back to the AI app template gallery. So we actually have like pipeline set up in the back end, so that we are constantly running tests and make sure that everything is running. So how often before ACD, let's say before ACD, how often have you come by a sample in the internet and then you download it and then you try to run it, but it doesn't work? It didn't work.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah. So it will not happen for templates you find in the AI app gallery. Everything is regularly tested, and the team actually get notifications. Christian, me, everybody in the team, we get notifications if something is breaking, and we look into it. Okay. So because of all the standards we put in place, you can see that all the README in any of the template, they look alike, pretty much like you get information, what is this template for, diagrams and whatnot.
Yeah, and this is really new too. So this was launched just last week. So there's 25 templates right now. And is there a way that they can let us know like what additional, do we have like if they want to suggest another template, I guess they can put it in the chat today. I don't actually see, is there a mechanism on the website itself? Oh, submit feedback.
I think you can submit a request or...
There we go. Yeah. So if there's a particular template that you're looking for that you think is like a pretty common type of AI use case, then you can click submit feedback and then, give us feedback about the experience and anything additional that you want. Cool. All right. So let's see. Oh, it's done.
Ooh,
all right.
Nice. How long did it take?
Okay. Oh, yeah. It says at the bottom. It took 3 minutes, 40 seconds. I swear it gets faster each time that I try this, right? Like eventually it'll just go down to 0. No. So as you can see, it did multiple things. It provisioned all these things, meaning like it created these Azure resources for me. And then it actually deployed the code. And this is a container app. So that meant it actually created a Docker container and stored that Docker container in the container registry, and then pointed the container app at that Docker container, and then restarted the container app server, which is like really impressive to do all of this in 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Now, the more impressive thing will be if it actually worked, right? So
yeah, 3 minutes and 40 seconds of not working. Let's see.
All right, let's see.
Oh, I also want to add that the AZD template is actually like, it's not, Pamela, you already talked about it. It's not just the app code, right? Everything you need, the IAC code, CI/CD pipeline, everything is in the template already. That's why you just get everything up and running in 3 minutes, 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's right. Oh,
yes,
wait, I was going to
ask Azure to explain.
Well, I meant to ask at Workspace. I don't know what. Oh yeah, even at Azure kind of knows too. That's cool. This is a good question for at Workspace, because I'm saying, where is the info for the project? Like, how did it know to make all of these things, right? I'm just postponing finding out if this worked. It's too nerve-wracking. Oh, interesting here. So this is the first time I've done at Workspace. The first time you do at Workspace inside a repo, you'll see this still building the workspace index warning, because like the GitHub Copilot is literally building a search index for your workspace. They use this thing called TIFA-diff, reverse frequency of terms. That's a way of building a search index. So they're building this TIFA-diff search index, and it'll happen the first time you do at Workspace. And then once you've done that, then your query should be much faster and more accurate. So let's actually try that a second time, just to see if now that it hopefully has the index set up, if we get even more of a response. Yeah, so here it's actually doing a better job. So isn't that interesting? Is that the first time it only found main.bicep and aka.bicep because it had like a partial search index. This time it says, okay, there's the main bicep, there's the aka.bicep, there's the cognitive services for making the AI, there's all the container apps, there's the log analytics. So I can, click through and see, okay, so this is the bicep, this is infrastructure as code. This is how it knew how to create the container app, right? Okay, all right. I want to see if it worked.
Moment of truth.
It's looking good. It's looking good.
Nice. I love the purple. Great
I
color.
just rethemed it purple, so I'm glad you like it.
Oh, great.
All right. Okay, so let's see. I downloaded some math homework. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, so I was like, all right, like math homework. We're not even at this stage, but like, what kind of? I was
gonna say, very impressive. If this is the home rating.
Let's see. So I uploaded this image and I'm asking it what kind of skills is this testing. All right, it responds yes. So it says everything that a student needs to have in order to answer this. Yeah. So my 5-year-old cannot do this yet. That's totally cool. But yeah, this works. This works. Okay. So that's really exciting when it does work. There are a couple of questions in the chat that I want to address. So one person asked, what was the environment name that you initialized earlier, right? If you remember, like way back when we did ASD and NIT, and it asked us to enter an environment name. So that becomes a folder in this .azure folder. So you see this .azure, and then you see the name AI Real Viz is now a folder name here. And this stores everything about this environment that we've made. So if you look at this, we can see that our location was West US. And this is like everything we deployed. That's my like tenant ID that I picked and my subscription that I picked when I did it. And so the reason for this is so that you can have multiple environments, right? Like I have some apps where I have 20 different environments because I deploy way too much and to test very different, lots of different like options in different environments, different regions, stuff like that. So this is a way that we could have multiple environments for the same app and just manage them in these folders. I don't know, PC, if you want to add anything to that, because this is an AZD thing.
You're doing great, Pamela.
Right.
You're one of our biggest fans, so you know.
I know, I love it. Okay, we also have a feature request, basically. It'd be great if we could see a monthly cost breakdown for each Azure surface within these templates. So let's go ahead and go back to that gallery, right? And so here's the one we're using. And if you go to cost, there is actually this estimated cost, which goes to, and that goes just generically to the pricing calculator. So this is a tool. If you haven't used it yet, it's a tool where you can like add a bunch of things and see how they work. But then if you look at the actual README, I always like to put a cost. Yeah. So I put a little cost here. And I think let's see if this pricing calculator link works. Cause I even like to preload a pricing calculator
pre-populated
link.
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
I tried to do that. I did it.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Okay. Oh my gosh, but it has this bug where
Awesome.
now it's defaulting to PTU. No, PTU is crazy. You're not using PTU. Okay. All right. So I got to update that. I think that when they added PTU, so PTU is that if you're going to do like a massive amount of OpenAI usage, you can basically like reserve your own OpenAI for like, certain number of like, what is it, like millions of tokens a month, and like it's expensive, and it's cheaper if you're going to use that much, but if you're not, like, look at that, we went from 1,400 to 0. So I need to update this link afterwards, so that it is 0 instead of 1,400. But what you'll see is actually the most expensive part of this is container registry. That's because container registry is basically always like at least $5 a month. I haven't figured out any way to get it cheaper. I actually use it for my personal website too, and so that's like my biggest cost.
$5 a month. That's pretty good for.
I mean, it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good. So, yeah. So I try to have that pricing calculator link, and then I also. And this is also a standard part of all the READMEs now. So just look on the READMEs. If it's in the template gallery, it should hopefully have this cost section, because we do recommend people add it. And we can always tell people to add it if they haven't yet. But I do think it'd be a great idea for AZD to like try and like auto come up with that pricing calculator link. And that has been a feature request. So it's good to repeat that when there are AZD PMs on the line that can hear it.
It's a real-time feedback session.
Got
All
it,
right.
Pamela.
Got it. All right, go implement. Okay, no. All right, so let's see. Yeah.
Can we ask at Azure about cost?
Oh, we could try. It's a good question. I haven't
Yeah,
tried that much.
That's for the monthly cost.
So I was gonna ask, like, oh, what's like, yeah, what are the costs for just container apps, like generally, right? Like, is there a free tier, right? Like, we just want to know, like, how expensive is this generally? So so we can add, so here's the thing, like Azure, the add Azure agent, it has like kind of multiple paths it can use to answer a question. So in this case, it's using its documentation, right? So it has all of the Azure documentation in index. So this is like the quickest way to get an answer from the Azure documentation is just to add Azure. So you don't have to deal with search engines anymore, because we're all giving up on search engines, right?
I just love not having to switch context and get out of my IDE.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and we can see here. So it's based off of like compute. So it's consumption based. And then it says there is a free monthly grant where you get 2 million requests per month. So that's like a lot. That's more than I was planning to get for this app. So that's pretty good. I don't know if we can ask, like, what is the cost for this template? I assume we can't, but we can always try things.
Try it. Let's try it.
And then we can, tell the Azure team after. And then let's look at the / commands and see, like, cost. Oh, wait, there's a / cost. That's okay. This is where you can query the incurred cost of your Azure resources. So if I do this one, so if you have an existing app,
if it has been running for a while.
All right.
Cost. How do we work that? How much is this app costing me? I've never used this one before. So I think this is going to query basically like your Azure budget. So it says, please provide the subscription ID. All right, I'll do that. Sub ID is blah.
It can't pull that because it's in the workspace, I guess, or like that's why would it not?
Yeah, so it has I think it has limited access to your workspace. That's one of the things they're working on, is like how these agents can have better access to workspace. That's why, like, if I know an answer is in my workspace, I'll use the workspace agent. All right, so it says there's no charges for this app. That makes sense because I deployed it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay, well, that's good. Glad I didn't spend anything yet. Okay, so that's good, but that would be a good thing to try out with an app that you've actually had up for a while. Cool. All right, good question, PC. All right, so now, so the app worked. Now I want to like actually, make it better. I want to like do a feature, like add a feature to it. Because right now, if I choose a file, you can see that I've got some JPEGs and it won't let me upload them. And I really want to be able to upload them. So I'm going to go ahead and try and get this working locally so that then I can debug it, right? And add some more features. So let's ask, so that's a question for at workspace, or you can, of course, always read the README. Always recommended to actually read the README, but we're trying to show what we can do with these agents.
I don't read, Pamela.
Yeah, I mean, in the world of AI agents, now you're expecting people to read READMEs. Come on now.
I put so much love into my
Oh, okay. I'll read it, README.
Are you guilted into using it now? All right. So it's basically, if you look at this, use 73 references. So it's using a lot of references, which is good. Okay, so required tools. I've got all that already. Easy, yeah, all that stuff. So we already have the folder. So now I'm going to make a Python virtual environment. That's always a best practice when we're doing Python projects. When we create a virtual environment, it means that we only install packages into that environment. And so that way we can be working with multiple projects and not like, overlap each other. I think I can just do this. I'm just going to install the app.
So Pamela, I want to confess and say that I am a Python developer wannabe. Every single time I basically have to find out, like search again to see what's the command to activate the virtual environment.
Who does it? Who does it?
I just copy and
At least you're doing it though, because I thought you were going to confess you don't use virtual environments, and then
I do, of course.
Yeah.
I've been beaten.
That's a better confession than like
beat me into remember to do that.
Yeah, that's good.
I memorized it at this point, but yeah, it took me a while till I actually memorized it. And it does depend on whether you're on Mac or Windows or Linux, right? This
Yeah,
one
that's
works for
another
Mac
thing.
and
You should get
Linux.
it tattooed on the arm. So I think the only
You
way
know,
to
I already
remember
like have a lot of competing. Oh, you can't even see them, but there's a bunch of mushrooms on my arm. All right. It says to make a .env, but actually my AZD up already made this .env. So there's actually multiple .envs going on here. This is like my .env for local development, because sometimes our like local development might be different from our deployed environment, right? So so I've got a .env at the root, and I automatically wrote this when when the AZD up process happened. But you can see it's saying, okay, here's the endpoint. So that's the one that got deployed, and it's for this tenant ID, and that's the main thing it's going to use right now. So that already is set up. And so now it says to run the dev server. All right, moment of truth. And here's the thing, I just changed my computer to use Python 3.13. And I actually don't recommend doing that because Python 3.13 just came out like 4 weeks ago.
The bleeding
So a
edge.
lot of the like packages don't work with it yet. So I had to very quickly like update this so that it would actually work. So 3.12 would be a safer bet. Okay. Let's see. All right, now let's ask calculus. What the heck is this? It's been a while since I did calculus. All right, and let's see if this is going to, we can all, like when we're developing locally, we can like just see the logs right here. So we can see it did like a post to my OpenAI endpoint. All right, it even responded with some latex here. All right, so it says I needed to evaluate the definite integral of the function over that interval. All right, okay, lots of stuff I haven't done in a long time.
Yeah, that's super helpful. That just
but at least I know like what to search, right? Like I can use all these words and figure out what sort of tools and what I should be studying on Khan Academy.
There you go.
So here we go. Okay, so that is working locally. So now now let's go ahead and ask workspace. Okay, because I want to change it so I can also upload those JPEGs, right? So I'll say, where's the front end for this app, right? So if you're like new to a project and you just have no idea how it's set up, you can ask workspace to basically, look through all of it and tell you. So it says the front end for this app is located in the templates directory. The main HTML file is index.html, and then there's CSS. And these are actually clickable. So I can click them and open up index.html. Okay. So now I've got that open, and then I can say like at workspace, why can't I upload JPEG? And see if it'll fix it up for me. All right, so it says to allow JPEG, I need to update the accept attribute of the file input element to include JPEG. So here's the updated code. So I have a few options here. I can do like this apply an editor, insert a cursor, or copy. I actually usually just copy. The other ones, sometimes they're a little too magical, and I don't know. I think it's often safer to just copy. So I'll just kind of like
yeah, run and execute, debug. Like, yeah, they have a lot of extra features.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, actually, you'll notice, like, so let's see, is it gonna? Okay, so that one let me save it. If I had done one of these options and then I tried to save it, actually would say like, are you sure you want to save? It's AI generated code. So they're like trying to get people to think, to reflect on, copying and pasting AI generated code. Okay. All right. So now we've got, so before it was just ping and JPEG, and now we've got JPEG with an E. Very important. Let's restart that server. Try this again. Okay, so now I do choose file. Now I can select the JPEGs, and these are so fun. PC, can you tell me about this image here?
Well, I carved a pumpkin. So this year I got into foraging for wild mushroom. So the theme for my pumpkin this year is mushrooms.
It's so cool. Isn't that such an amazing pumpkin that PC carved? Right. So that's why I'm, celebrating by tattooing myself with mushrooms. So you can see it actually says that it knows it's a morel mushroom, a chanterelle mushroom, and an amanita mushroom. And that's right, PC?
Yes, that is correct. And I was pretty impressed as well.
So that one worked. Now we do have another pumpkin here from AZD. All right, so what is the command on this pumpkin?
No, actually, Pamela, ask what is the, let's see whether I recognize that it's ACD or not. You know,
Okay,
what is the design? What is on the,
tool?
Oh
is the
yeah, this will be good.
using? I don't know if AZD is in its weight because AZD is only like a couple of years old. So I
Just
feel
give
like
it
a
a
lot
chance. Give it a chance. Let's see.
Okay. Oh my God, it worked.
What? You're in the weights.
Okay.
Congratulations.
This is like two of my, this is the product I work on. And also, you know, my personal pumpkin is my crazy personal thing. So yeah.
That's massive.
Wow, I'm impressed. I guess this is because we're using GPT-4o and GPT-4o, and I'm using like the very recent version of it. So I guess it's cutoff includes Azure Developer CLI. That's great because for like the older models like GPT-3.5 Turbo, they always think it's the Azure CLI, which is actually a different CLI because they just don't know about AZD. So that's really cool. I honestly didn't think it would know.
I like the ending. This suggests that the pumpkin is themed around cloud computing and developer tools, as most pumpkins are, you know.
Carved by the one of the ACD PMs.
Yeah. It's just good to get more detail. Like, who made this?
All right, so that's so cool. So now it's working. All right, so now we might want to. So now that it's working, you know, the next thing in the workflow might be to like redeploy it. Like, so how do I redeploy the changed code for this project? And let's see. I'll quit this dev server now. Okay, and it says so we're just going to use AZD deploy. So the first time we used AZD up, which did both the provisioning of the Azure resources and the deployment of the code. But this time, all I changed was the code, so I only have to use AZD deploy. If I had also changed the infrastructure, then I'd want to do an AZD up or an AZD provision. But when you only change the code, you don't have to bother, you know, remaking all those Azure resources. You can just run AZD deploy and it'll just upload the image. So we're going to leave that in a terminal, see how long it takes. And let's move on to something else. So now I want to show GitHub models. Corey, you're a big fan of GitHub models, right?
Love them.
I think you use them for the generative AI for beginners course, right?
Yeah, that's like the best way to be super accessible for people actually getting started on building with these models. So
yeah, let's actually open that up. So if you haven't played around with them yet, it's just a really easy way of getting started with a bunch of models. So we can stick this one in the chat. Yeah. And it's now, as of last week, once again, at GitHub Universe, they announced that everybody can access these models now. So if you have a GitHub account, which hopefully you all do, then you can access these models and you can get started really easily in GitHub Codespaces. So once again, GitHub Codespaces is often the easiest way of getting started with things, and that includes GitHub models. But I'm going to show you how to use them locally too, because you can do both. You can use in Codespaces or you can use locally. All right.
So Pamela, I'm new to AI, as you know. Can you explain to me why I would want to experiment with other models?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, when the first OpenAI models came out with like GPT-3.5 Turbo and that stuff, you know, they were kind of the only large language models. But since then, we've had so many new models come out, and they're all like, a lot of them are really similar, but also they're like different in some ways too, right? So like Phi 3 is actually like focused on reasoning type things. Like O1 is of course also focused on reasoning. Cohere Command R, I hear it's like targeting RAG, right? So if you are using RAG, it's like definitely worth trying that out. I actually haven't gotten to play with this yet, but I really want to because I do so much RAG, and I'm super curious to see, you know, how much better. So some of these are like tuned for particular cases.
In 2 episodes, we'll actually have Cohere on this show, Pamela. So you should stay tuned.
Right. And next week you're doing.
I will.
Next week we're doing Mistral. So
Mistral. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know it was pronounced Mistral.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not doing the very French way of saying it. I know you tune in to find out exactly how to say it.
There you go. Is it from France?
Yeah, it's from France.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't appreciate that. Yeah, and there's the Llama ones, and some of you might know that I dressed up as a llama for Halloween and did a live stream where I only used llama models using
What?
Llama.
I missed that. Is this on your YouTube? I gotta
It's
see
on my
this.
YouTube, yeah. So llama using a llama with llama models. It was my favorite thing. Okay, so we have a bunch of models here. And let's see, can I use this app with GitHub models, right? And I have already set this app up so that it can easily use GitHub models. So it should have a good answer for this question. So it basically says we need to change the .env file, which already exists. So it just says change the host to GitHub. And it's getting this from the README, right? So once again, you could also read the README. But you know, it's fun. It's the nice thing about it is that it's giving us a really focused answer, right?
Because of the README, right? Because of the
README. Yeah. So it's getting it from the README, but answering our like very specific question, right? Because sometimes it can be hard to like look through a thing. So you know, now our .env is saying to use GitHub as the host, and it's got this GitHub models endpoint. And we can also change the model here, right? So we've been using GPT-4o. Let's try GPT-4o Mini, because that's one of the ones that's listed here. So if we look under multimodal, those are ones that can accept images. And so we can see 4o, 4o Mini, Llama, and Phi 3 Vision. Okay. Then it says we need to set the GitHub token environment variable. So this is one that if you're in a code space, it's already set. If not, we need to generate it. So since I am local, so I'm going to show you how to generate it. So we go to here and generate a new token. Oh, my MFA. All right. Let me go ahead and get my authenticator app. Let's see. Oh, it's expiring right now. I got it in time. All right. So
the thrill of every day, making sure it doesn't expire.
Yeah, MFA is just so exciting. It adds so much adrenaline to my life. Okay. So now we got it. So I'm going to say export GitHub token equals this. I could have also like stuck it in the .env. Now all of you can see my GitHub token. So I'm going to clear, but I can also like as soon as we're done using it, I can go and just revoke that token. All right. So now we're going to run it. And I am not in my virtual environment. So I'm going to activate and now try it. And let's see. Okay, it's running. All right. So now we're going to try. Let's see 4o Mini, how it does. What tool is on the pumpkin? Okay. This is what we can find out is which of these have AZD in the weights. And we can check the terminal also to see that it is using the GitHub hosted model. So it says GPT-4o Mini, and it's making a post to the GitHub models endpoint instead of the Azure OpenAI. So that's how we know that it is actually using GitHub models. All right. So GPT-4o Mini also knows about AZD. Very good. But let's make it harder. Let's go and try a different model. All right. So let's make it increasingly harder, right? So here we've got the Vision Instruct model. Okay. So I'm going to change this to Vision Instruct. I mean, as a general rule, we shouldn't rely too much on what's in the weights, but depending on like what it is we're asking about, like obviously, like, you know this, if you're using GitHub Copilot, you can totally ask it about a framework that's been around for like, 10 years, like React, it's pretty good at React. But if you ask it about some framework that's come out like in the last 6 months, it's going to do a really poor job, right? So part of working with these, like, with these language models is understanding what they're good at and, what they're not.
Okay.
All right, let's see. So now we are using Llama 90B. And I think that's got, like, the thing about that one is that it's been trained on a very different, there we go. Very different training set. So this one says it's a command line interface for Azure DevOps. Now notice how confidently it said that. It didn't express any doubt. And this is, of course, one of the issues with language models is that they sound way too confident, right? Now, if I said again, like, are you sure AZD is Azure DevOps?
Even the style is more confident than the other model.
Yeah,
Nothing about the
that,
puppet
yeah.
and the, yeah.
100% sure. They're 100% sure. So this is why I do spend so much time on RAG, because with RAG, we send, RAG is a technique where we actually send information with our question. And so that we ground the answer in that information. And a lot of the stuff we've been doing with the agents have been RAG, right? Like Workspace is using references. Azure is using references. So that's really like where we get the really nice, accurate responses from models, is when we use references, because we have issues like this where it is 100% sure that AZD is Azure DevOps. Okay. All right. So that was Llama 90B. Let's try, we got Phi 3 as well, and just see. Phi 3 is usually not that confident in things. So I'll be interested to see what it says. Like I actually find Phi 3 is like fairly resistant to answering anything that it doesn't think it knows, but we'll see. I think this needs to be a dash here. Okay, let's try this. Oh, come back, terminal. I've had really interesting experience with Phi 3, like where I'll be like it refuses to talk about unicorns because they don't exist and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, it's a blessing and a curse to being trying to be very accurate, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So let's see what tool is in this image. Okay. Okay. And okay, so it didn't even attempt to say what. Okay. What?
Yeah, just, you know what it is. Don't ask me.
Let's see. Yeah, it's just not going to tell us. What Azure tool is represented in this image? Okay. Phi is just not wanting to say. So let's also try something else with Phi. I find that Phi is the most different of all the models. So I find it actually pretty interesting to try it out. So first we're going to ask, is this a unicorn?
Yeah.
It is an illustration of a bull. Well, that actually isn't true either. This is an auroch, which is an extinct. Are you sure it's a bull? Let's see how sure it is. I might have like set it up for failure by asking.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty sure it's a bull. I mean, it's not a unicorn, but
could I turn this into a unicorn? I mean, a bull is a lot like an orc. There's no way to turn this into a unicorn as an illustration of a bull. Okay. If I asked any of the other models, like a GPT-4o would be like, sure, you just erase one horn and then you add some sparkles and then you have a unicorn, right? But Phi really is really uncomfortable with turning bulls into unicorns, right? So Phi is like very like serious, very serious.
Yeah, wouldn't want to hang out with Phi at after work, but at work, great person.
Yeah. So it's really, that's the thing that's really interesting to, kind of see the differences across them, right? So here we're trying all the different vision models. If we were doing a non-vision use case, then we'd have 30 other ones that we can try out. Like, okay, so I just want to show you this with, let's see, Llama 90B. Okay, yeah. Sorry, when it streams it, it's a bull with turn. Okay, how to turn this into a unicorn. Yeah, there we go. So this is the kind of response you get from, it says remove one of the horns, or you could surgically remove the horn.
Or with software, you choose which one.
It could potentially harm the animal. So we generally recommend digital editing software. Well, there you go, people. Don't just remove horns from bulls just willy-nilly. Okay. All right. So that's GitHub models. And yeah, so the basic thing is like, how did we get this working with GitHub models? So I did it all in my .env, and that works because of what's in the back end. So it'd be like, okay, where's the back end for this app? So we can actually look at the code, because we haven't actually looked at any of the code. And I realized, like, I think this is something PC wanted to see too, is like, how does this even work, right? So it says it's located in the Quart app directory. And some of you might be wondering what Quart is. Quart is the asynchronous version of Flask. So if you've used Flask, Quart is just the asynchronous version of it. Whenever we're developing apps that make calls to language models, we should be using asynchronous frameworks and that's going to get us better performance, because these like the calls to the large language models take a long time and they block. So if you're getting like if you get a bunch of user requests and all your workers are tied up waiting for responses from large language models, then you'll have bad server performance. Whereas if you use an async framework like Quart, you send off the request to language model, and that worker can start processing, requests from other users. So always use something async like Quart or Fast API or Django Async. Okay, that's my plug for async. All right, so we can look at chat.py and actually see how this works. So what you can see is that, it reads the .env, or in production, it would read the container app environment variables. And, when we're trying to use GitHub, we just change the base URL. So if you've got an app that already uses OpenAI and you want to be able to point it at GitHub instead, you just need to pass in your GitHub token as the key and then change the base URL to point at that GitHub models endpoint. And then you can, start using it with GitHub models. You could also use it with Llama. This one also supports using with like an Llama local server. And then the default is doing setting up Azure OpenAI here. So that's what we would do in production. So I would only use GitHub models for development, for experimenting, just for being able to quickly try out other models and see if there's a better one I should pick. But in production, I'm going to use an actual deployed production level model where I've got more higher rate limits and all that stuff. So this is our, what's going to be triggered in our production code here. And then here's the actual route that responds to the request, right? So you can see it gets the messages. It also gets the image, and it gets it as a base 64 image. So the front end actually did the base 64 encoding, and then it sends it to the LLM. So it says, okay, here's the text, here's the image, and this is a base 64, encoded URI. And it sends all the previous, messages too, for having a long, deep conversation, and then sends it to the model. And we can see we're using a 0.5 for the temperature, which is kind of, in the middle. And then we get back the streamed response, and we stream that back to the front end so that the front end can display the tokens as they come in. So this is another best practice, right? Is that when you're making a user-facing app that is getting a response from a language model, those responses can take a long time. But if you use streaming, then you'll have the first token, like the first word, as soon as it's available, and you can start sending it down to the user. So when we're making user-facing apps, we almost always want to be doing streaming so that we can get something to the user as quick as possible, because users are impatient. Like we want our start seeing our responses as soon as something's available. And so this is a way that you can also increase the perceived performance of an application. Okay, so that's how it works. Any questions about that? Anything else I should show in the actual code?
I think this covered a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
We went from pumpkins to bulls to ACD to, this was great.
All right. So then for our final thing, we redeployed. So we were going to see how long that took. So redeploying just the code took 1 minute and 54 seconds. Pretty good. So now we can open, see if it worked, see if we can upload a pumpkin. All right, make a rap about the pumpkins. This is highly educational for you.
Yeah, this is definitely on brand. Thank you for sticking to the theme.
I started with math and then I got into mushrooms.
You went pumpkins real quick. It was just like,
oh my God, look how good this is. This is got like a first chorus.
Can you sing it?
Yo, check it out. We got pumpkins in the place, carved up clean with that mushroom grace. Got the morel, chanterelle, and the fly amanita. Light up bright, man. That couldn't be sweeter.
Oh my God.
It's accurate too. It's accurate. Oh, I love this. Morel's got that honeycomb, intricate and fine. Chanterelle's wavy type, looking mighty divine. Fly amanita spots on the cap. That was so good. Wow. Okay.
That's awesome. It makes me feel so good that, what I cover is actually recognizable.
I know you did such a good job.
We got a little comment in the back. I know I'm supposed to say in our back room here, but do not ingest amanitas. They're not sweet.
Oh yeah, no. It's
So
it
maybe
looks
the accuracy
good.
of that rhyme was
Yeah,
not the
that's the poisonous one.
Yeah. So
Don't
if
do
you do
that.
see a red one with white on top, no, red with white, little white dots, don't eat that. Chanterelles actually are really good. I mean, anytime you're foraging, you should make sure you know all the ways of identifying by like taste and smell and blah, blah. Well, taste is the last one. Smell and feel and texture. But when I did live in the woods, I would forage for chanterelles and get like hundreds of them. And oh my gosh, chanterelle soup is just like so good.
Yeah. We do chanterelle toast here in Sweden.
Oh.
It's really nice.
Okay, I'm hungry now. So
Let's what were you talking about again?
AI. Okay. All right. So we got that deployed. And now right now it's like, not costing me very much, but I only deployed this as as an experiment. So then be like, okay, I want to take it down now, right? I know it was cool, but I'm going to take it down to make sure I'm not like costing any, unnecessary cloud resource. So I'm going to say like, how can I take these apps down? Right. And we'll go ahead and ask here. Okay. So to take it down, you can just run AZD down. All right. So just like we did AZD up to get it up, we're going to do AZ down to get it down. All right. Someone's typing right now. That's not me.
Yeah, it's not me either.
There you go. And your garbage just came. So let's see. So now it's doing AZ down. So this is a best practice is that when, if you get up on these templates and you get an idea for how it works, but then you don't want to, keep it up, then you want to do run AZD down and make sure you're there to say yes to these prompts here, right? Because sometimes people will like run AZ down and then they'll just kind of like run away from their computer and never look back. I did this yesterday. I tested this. I ran AZ down. I went to go pick up my kid, forgot about it. I came back this morning and it was still just on this prompt
down.
right here. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's waiting for you.
So it's very easy to accidentally run away from your computer and forget to really take something down. So you definitely want to go through the AZ down process and make sure it goes through the end. And this one is even going to have an additional prompt because with Azure, there's both the hard deletion and soft deletion. So it's going to ask and see, like, are you sure you want to actually for real purge your OpenAI resource? So I don't know why we do it sometimes for some resources and not others, but there's some resources where you have to force it to really, really go away. So Key Vault is another one. That one makes sense because it's like holding your secrets and you might be like, oh no, all my secrets were in there and I accidentally deleted it, right? And it's the same thing for the OpenAI where you do have to explicitly purge it. And that's the down. All right. And we can still keep using this with GitHub models. So even when we take down all the Azure infrastructure, we can still totally, this one has an experience that works entirely locally with GitHub models without even having to deploy. So that's the other cool thing about GitHub models is that, we can get started without having to do that deployment. I also like to use Llama for, similarly, to have a full local experience without having to deploy. And it's just nice. It's just nice to have all these options.
Okay. Speaking of options, we covered a lot. So let's we can summarize some. So AZD at Azure, pumpkins and mushrooms, and also GitHub models. We covered it all. This was enlightening. Also really great that we sticked on theme in terms of building our AI startup. So we have these lovely models to determine homework and assignments and what's on the content, as well as anything else that we'd be interested in. I do want to say about next episode. So we do have the link. Anna's going to throw that in. So Mistral or however, we're going to find out how to say it, but that'll be on the 21st. So do join us there. And any closing thoughts, PC? I know you have a garbage can coming here.
Yeah, the garbage truck is here, so I'm afraid to unmute myself. So sorry about that.
Perfect. Pamela, do you have any closing thoughts for the audience?
Yeah, I hope that you learned a lot from all the different things we showed. Like the thing to keep in mind is that all of this is all really, really new, and these the agents that we use in Copilot, when they work, it's awesome. They're not always going to work. So like when you have issues with them, you can always do the thumbs up, thumbs down, and then report an issue, and it actually will like file an issue in an issue tracker. So we're early days. We're really early days with all this stuff, right? Like it's only been like a couple years that we've had all this stuff. We're all still learning like how to make these things good. But what I think we're seeing is that these things are like legitimately useful tools, right? Like it's so much easier for me to, find Azure documentation by using this Azure agent, right? So, these things are like legitimately useful tools, but it is still early days. So we need everybody to be, trying stuff out, giving feedback, blogging about, your own experiences with building apps and figuring out what works and what doesn't work.
Perfect. Well, like I say, every time you spent almost an hour, or actually over an hour with us. You could have been anywhere on the internet right now, but you spent an hour with us. And for that, we're all truly grateful. Thank you, and see you in the next episode of Make Azure AI Real.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you to our speakers. We are always trying to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. Today's event code is 23814, and we'll see you for the next one.